All right, so today I wanted to talk about something I seen from Dennis Rancourt saying masks harm children a lot, first scientific study of its kind. And again, he tweeted this out on January 3rd. So if you want to go read it for yourself, he has the link right here, so you can go check it out if you want. But anyway, it says background narratives about complaints in children and adolescents caused by wearing a mask are accumulating. There is to date no registry for side effects of masks. At the University of Witten-Herdecke, an online registry has been set up where parents, doctors, pedagogues, and other can enter their observations on what would that be? October 20th, 2020. 363 doctors were asked to make entries and to make parents and teachers aware of the registry. By the 26th, the registry had been used by 20,353 people. In this publication, we report results from the parents um, who entered the data on the total of 25,930 kids. The average wearing time of the mask was 270 minutes per day. Impairments caused by wearing the mask were reported by 68% of the parents. These included irritability, 60%, headache, 53%, difficulty concentrating, 50%, less happiness, 49%, reluctance to go to school/kindergarten, 44%, malaise, 42%, impaired learning, 38%, drowsiness or fatigue, 37%. Discussion: the world's first registry for recording the effects of wearing masks in children is dedicated to a new research question: the frequency of the registry's use and the spectrum of symptoms registered indicate the importance of the topic and call for representative surveys, randomized control trials with various masks, and renewed risk-benefit assessment for the vulnerable group of children. Adults need to collectively reflect on the circumstances under which they would be willing to take a residual risk upon themselves in favor of enabling children to have higher quality of life without having to wear a mask. So again, this is another very good point here that he makes, and what the study shows. Again, this is the first study that's been done on kids, and this is the other thing that the mask zealots will always tell you. Oh, there's tons of studies, when in reality there isn't. And the other reality too is that most of the quote unquote studies are done in medical environments. A lot of the studies, they're not clinically controlled, right? They may be clinically controlled, but they're in medical environments. We need some real world clinically controlled trials, right? We need some trials comparing cloth masks to medical grade masks to N95 masks. We need, to people who aren't wearing masks, right? And the problem with that is that there's no there's no double blind. That's the problem to these studies as well, is that it's very obvious to the people that are participating that um, if it is a study that you can't give someone the equivalent of a pill with nothing in it when it comes to these things. I guess technically maybe you could do studies on people who don't wear masks and wear masks on a regular basis, but not tell them you're doing a study. But then again, how do you control for other factors, right? So that would be there's a lot of wrenches when it comes to doing these studies, but stuff like this is good to do. And again, when it comes to kids too, this is another reason why this stuff just makes no sense whatsoever. Because again, um, if you've ever spent any amount of time around little kids, or you remember being a little kid, you know that again, little kids aren't going to wear masks properly, right? And this is the thing that I've been screaming this from the rooftops for over 6 months probably now, that if you're not wearing a mask properly, you're not doing any good. In fact, you're doing harm. You're doing more harm than good. And the problem is that 99.9% of people aren't wearing masks properly. Even the people that think that they're saving the world by wearing a mask, no, you're not doing jack. You know what, right? You're not doing anything. Um, so this is the big problem. Like, this is the big problem, and this is the reason too why that the people that are making these rules, they don't care about being reasonable. They don't care about actually making a difference. the entirety of this whole situation is that it's just it is a show, right? It is a farce. It's a complete farce because again, if they were really worried about this, we wouldn't be worried about schools. We know that again, people under 20, it not only is it less deadly than the flu, it's significantly deadly than the flu, at least from the data we have, right? From at least from the data we have. Number two, again, the concept of asymptomatic spread is either incredibly rare or non-existent. Um, and again, when it comes to teachers, again, they're still relatively young people as well. The only way we would have to be worried about it at all is if you have teachers that have underlying conditions. And not only that, multiple underlying conditions, right? If you don't have multiple underlying conditions, your chances of dying go down significantly. I mean, they're already incredibly, incredibly low if you're not in a nursing home. But even if you're not in a nursing home and you don't have multiple underlying conditions, they go down a lot even more yet. So this is the thing I've been trying to point out for the longest time too, is that the people that are making these rules, it is entirely a show, right? This is the same thing when it goes with these curfews, right? There's no data that shows that the curfews make a difference. Why is the government doing it? I think they're doing it because more and more people are waking up to the farce that is this whole virus situation. So again, they constantly need new reminders that we need to be paranoid, and if we're not paranoid, we're causing doomsday, right? If we're not paranoid, we're causing doomsday. I think that's why they're doing this kind of stuff, and I think that's why they keep extending these lockdowns or making more restrictions. Yeah, I think that's why they're doing it again, because when you look at it from a logical perspective, if they thought that the virus was so deadly and it was such a big issue, then why are they not following their own rules, right? Why are so many of these government figures and government doctors not following their own rules? So clearly they don't think that the virus is that much of a threat. And number two, even if they do think it's that much of a threat, then why are we worried about healthy people who have very little of a threat for it to affect them? Why are we worried about that? Again, if you genuinely believe that the virus is such a threat, the entirety of your focus should be on nursing homes and people with multiple underlying conditions. If you support locking down healthy people, if you support closing down businesses, if you support most of these policies, you don't actually care about saving these people's lives because again the government has limited resources, the government has limited time, limited everything when it comes to doing this kind of stuff. Um, they can't help everybody, right? They need to prioritize their approach when it comes to this kind of stuff. So again, in a nutshell, if you're advocating for restrictions on anything other than nursing homes and maybe suggesting people that have multiple underlying conditions stay home, then you're not credible at all. I don't care who you are. You could be the world's foremost expert. Again, look at how much stuff Fauci has been wrong on, who's technically one of the world's foremost experts. He's admitted he's been wrong about quite a bit of stuff. And I think if you look at it from a logical perspective, you would have to acknowledge he's been wrong about a lot of other things, right? So this is the crazy thing, I think. And personally, I think when it comes to masks too, um, this is I pointed this out a lot before too. That again, if masks actually made a difference, even if it's 10-20% of people wearing them, that should we should see a reduction in cases from that. This is the thing that all the mask zealots told me, back in like June, July, and in August. They say, oh, even if it's a small percentage of people wearing them, it'll still make a difference. Did it make a difference? Like, again, no, of course it didn't. If you look at the areas with mask mandates, the case totals, the death counts, there's no discernible difference. And again, you need to take this stuff in aggregate too. You can't simply take one place and compare it to one. You can't cherry pick one place and cherry pick another place and say, here, this is proof masks work, right? That's what the mask zealots like to do, which is funny because they completely ignore Sweden and Florida and South Dakota and all these other places, but yet they'll cherry pick Australia and think that proves their point, right? You should be able to look at all of the places that have mask mandates and all of the places that don't, and there should be a very, very clear discernible difference in the case totals, in the death numbers, and all that kind of stuff. But why do they not do that? They don't do that because they know that it would show that the mask mandates and the lockdowns don't work. It's very obvious. The reason why the government isn't digging deeper into what is actually causing the spread, or maybe they are doing it, they're just not telling people, is because they know that it would show that the lockdowns aren't working, right? We know that small businesses and gyms and these kind of places is not where the virus is spreading. The government, I've seen multiple studies that have shown this stuff, multiple studies. The virus is incredibly, it's like 1 in 130,000, I think, at gyms. That's what your chances of catching it at a gym are. Yet they're closing gyms, right? I think that if the government actually dug deeper, I think that they would show that it's spreading a lot within families and within households. I think that clearly that has to be it, because again, if you're locking down, if you're closing non-essential businesses, if you're having curfews and all these draconian restrictions, and yet it's still spreading, the case numbers are still going up. It has to be spreading in the household, right? Again, do I know that 100% for sure? I don't think so, or sorry, I don't. But I think it's very obvious that where else is it spreading? Like where else is it spreading? It has to be that, and I think that's why the government doesn't have breakdowns. Okay, well, here's the pie charts of, okay, here's the percentage of cases that are coming where people caught it from family members at home. Here's the amount where people have caught it from people at work. Here's the amount of people that have caught it while going for groceries, right? Why is the government not showing us that data? Why are they not showing us that data? And the reason, I think, the only logical conclusion has to be it would show that their restrictions and their solutions aren't working. Because if it showed that you were incredibly unlikely to get it while staying home and staying safe, they would be showing us that data, because that's what their solution is. This is like 5-year-old levels of thinking. Like they could easily figure this stuff out. So why can't more of the general public figure it out? So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today. I think it's a very interesting point. But anyway, that's, like I say, that's what I wanted to bring up. If you liked the video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Check out those links below. Again, YouTube's gonna ban me and most credible people at some point. Same goes for Twitter. So make sure you check out those other platforms. And again, get on those other platforms too. If you have anyone you follow that you like, get in the if they're not on these other platforms, be reminding them. Be reminding them. So again, check out those links. If you want to donate, again, you can do that as well. Again, I would appreciate that. But again, at the very least, just hit that like and subscribe. Check out those links and stay tuned for more.